Whatever Huawei's recent difficulties with the US government, the company shows no sign of slowing the pace of its Android flagship launches. So following last year's P30 Pro naturally is the P40 series, and it's packing some absolutely ridiculous specs. Let's jump into what we know so far. Let's begin by busting out the renders. Thanks to Evan Blass, we already know basically how these devices will look and feel. As usual with the P series, we're getting both a P40 and a P40 Pro, with the Pro likely being the more interesting one if you want bigger screens and higher specs. So the P40 Pro around the back switches to a hole-punch display a la Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, only this time reportedly it's to accommodate both an ultra-wide and a regular selfie camera. Hopefully that's true, that's a feature I really missed from the Google Pixel 3 back in the day. From the renders, it also looks like the Pro will boast a pretty impressive screen-to-body ratio, though the exact ratio isn't entirely clear, and companies have been known to embellish a little in images like this. It also looks like Huawei isn't going too crazy with the display shape itself, so we likely won't be seeing a return to the super curved waterfall display of the Mate 30 Pro, at least not in this exact model. And that's corroborated by a handful of sneaky leaked photos taken of testers using the device out and about in China. Instead of super curved edges, the P40 Pro's screen is set to differentiate itself with a faster 120Hz refresh rate. That's one of the big trends of Android phones this year, and it's a key pillar of the Galaxy S20 series and the OnePlus 8. Basically, this is just going to be the way phones are in the future. 120Hz is twice as fast as the normal 60Hz refresh rates in most current phones, so you get faster scrolling and a more responsive appearance. Faster screens need bigger batteries though, and credible rumours report to a giant 5000 mAh cell in the P40 Pro, matching the expected battery in the Galaxy S20 Ultra. For additional context, that's the same capacity seen in the absolute unit that was the Huawei Mate 20X last year, though obviously that phone had a bigger 60Hz panel, so it's not exactly a fair comparison. The real focus of the Huawei P series though has typically been the design and the cameras. On the former point, Evan Blass says we can expect a ceramic-backed P40 Pro likely selling for top dollar, with Huawei apparently taking inspiration from the Galaxy S10 Plus. And that's in addition to fan-favourite P30 colours like Aurora and Breathing Crystal. And in addition, Evan Blass has shown off what appears to be a minty green variant of the standard P40. So expect the backs of these phones to at least be as ostentatious as the P30 was. But let's get down to the reason why you probably care about the P40 Pro, its cameras. The P30 Pro is a photographic beast, while the Mate 30 Pro brought forward much needed improvements to video and ultra-wide photos. We can expect the P40 Pro's 5-camera setup to build on that, and thanks to leaked camera labels seen in Evan Blass's renders, we can very clearly see the range of f-stops and focal lengths for the Pro. So let's break it down. For the main camera, we can expect it to be different from the 40 megapixel super sensing setup used in the P30 Pro and Mate 30 Pro. That camera used an f1.6 aperture, whereas the brightest lens in the P40 Pro will apparently be just f1.8. Chinese leaker Ice Universe has chimed in to say the Pro will use a new 50 megapixel sensor created by Sony, so it's likely this new sensor will be physically larger even than the already sizable sensors used in last year's Huawei phones. The ultra-wide camera will likely be the same Cine sensor used in the Mate 30 Pro. This is a 3x2 sensor, so it's better suited to video recording, though ever so slightly less wide than some rivals. In any case, this is a great ultra-wide camera, and even if nothing is changed compared to the Mate 30 Pro, it'll remain excellent for both photos and videos at that wider angle. And then there's the telephoto. That's the big square periscope lens down there. Based on the labeling here, it looks like the rumours of a 10x optical zoom camera are indeed true, which in itself is pretty wild. The P30 Pro could go all the way up to 10x pretty easily from that 5x sensor using hybrid zoom, but true 10x optical zoom will be another level altogether. Digital zoom on this thing could well max out at 100 times, which is also just ludicrous. But there's a big gap between 1x and 10x, so I think it's likely one of those other lenses we see around the back will be for a 3x optical zoom, likely similar to what we see in the Mate 30 Pro at the moment. That's better if you want to punch in just slightly to get a bit closer to your subject without going completely wild with that 10x lens. There are of course a whole bunch of different sensors around the back there, and at an educated guess we're probably looking at laser autofocus and a time-of-flight depth sensor for portrait shots, maybe even some kind of macro option. The P40 Pro camera will surely have plenty of other tricks up its sleeve. As for the standard P40, the leaked camera labels we have suggest a slightly downscaled version of the Pro's camera setup. Telephoto zoom seems to max out at 5x, likely using the hardware from last year's P30 Pro, and there were also just fewer lenses in general around the back of this phone. That fits into the pattern of differences between the vanilla P series and the Pro over the past several years. We've already discussed the 120Hz screen and 5000 mAh battery. Aside from that, the core specs are likely to closely mirror those of the Mate 30 Pro. So they'll be powered by Huawei's homegrown Kirin 990 5G chipset, with a likely 12 gigs of RAM and at least 256 gigs of storage. It'll also be interesting to see if Huawei upgrades its wired charging speeds, which currently top out at 40 watts in the Mate and P series devices. It's been that way for the past couple of years, so we are due a bit of an upgrade, and current rumours around Huawei's next-gen foldable Mate XS point to an insane 65-watt charging speed in that device. So could we see the same in the P40 Pro? One thing we definitely won't see is official Google Mobile Services support in the P40, thanks to the current standoff with the US government. Check out our video explainer for more information on that. But the short version is Huawei's place on the US Entity List means it needs a special license to use Google stuff on its new phones, and that license hasn't been granted yet. Don't expect that to change much between now and P40 launch day. We'll have to wait and see exactly how things shape up. The P40 series is rumored to break cover in late March at an event in Paris, so same time and same place as the P30 series last year. Stay with us for more on the P40 and the next wave of flagship Android phones for 2020. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.